Hello, this is my patch notes rundown for the 29th of June. When I make these videos, my goal are to do the following when necessary: filter out non-gameplay patches, reconstruct and reword the news post, explain what has changed and how it impacts the game, give my personal opinion and feedback, and showcase the updates in-game. Without further ado, let's get stuck in. Ninja Strike 7, Tier 92 Armour. Elite Sirenic and Tectonic Armor. Players can now create a repair patch that will partially repair their Tier 92 Sirenic and Tectonic armors. The following images were taken from the RuneScape wiki and edited to provide only the necessary information and updated prices. The patches are made from both the Tier 92 and Tier 90 armor ingredients, wool from the player-owned farm, and blackstone hearts from the Elite Dungeon 3. They repair the helm by 50%, body by 16.7%, and legs by 25%. Now let's break that down and look at the repair costs. I decided to include Trim Masterwork armor in this table as a comparison. Note that Trim Masterwork degrades at half the rate when custom fit, so it's technically half the price shown on screen relative to the Elite armors. Elite Tectonic is not only better than normal Tectonic, but it's also much cheaper, and I expect this to be the case even in the long run. It's a no-brainer, as long as you can afford the upfront costs, which we will get to later. Even though Elite Sirenic is priced pretty closely to normal Sirenic, I expect the Elite variant to always be more expensive. Due to the low supply of the respective materials, we could even see that gap being broadened if the meta swings towards using Elite Sirenic. Remember that you don't only get a slight damage increase when upgrading armors, but also armor rating, which could be quite significant at a lot of high level bosses that don't have 100% accuracy, like Angel of Death, Araxor, Telos, and Solak. The formula to figure out how much money you'll be saving or losing on repair costs when upgrading from Tier 90 to 92 is basically 72 Tier 90 energy or scales, plus 2 augmenters, plus 12 divine charges, minus 84 Tier 92 energy or scales, minus 24 blackstone hearts. In conclusion, I'm very happy with the balancing and the way they executed this. Following the repair changes, the creation of Tier 92 Elite armors now includes new Praesolic essences, similar to those required for Trim Masterwork armor. Praesolic essence has been split into 3 different variants: melee, ranged, and magic. They are all obtained when breaking down next armors at the Dragonkin Forge. The range essence is obtained from Pernix, while the magic essence is obtained from Virtus. The rates that they break down are exactly the same as the melee variant obtained from Torva. With the introduction of these essences and considering the prices of Torva, I would imagine Virtus and Pernix going up even in the long run, making next even more profitable. Now, I would argue that adding these ingredients to the creation of the armors is unjustified. I think the upfront cost of the Elite armors was already too high, but to add even more to it while not sharing any of the benefits that Trim Masterwork has makes no sense. I personally think the Elite armors deserve to have no degradation during Slayer and Reaper tasks, custom fit option to reduce degradation by half, and a unique effect similar to Trim Masterwork. Since melee is a very close-up and vulnerable style, the damage staggering effect suits the armor. I would love to see something similar in style for the Elite ranged and magic armors. Range could do more damage when further away, and magic could have a +1 range to all AoE abilities. I truly believe that the upfront and the upkeep costs of the Elite ranged and magic armors warrant such additions. It's now possible to upgrade augmented Tier 90 Sirenic and Tectonic armor to the Tier 92 variant if they are at 95% degradation or above. You can do this by right-clicking on Ancient Scales or Draconic Energy and use them on the armors. A tooltip has been added to the Elite armors explaining the item effect, which negates degradation in Elite dungeons. When repairing armors, the degradation state is now shown at 2 decimal places for accuracy. Made the message more clear when attempting to use an augmenter on degraded dust armors. When making Tier 90 and Tier 92 ranged or magic armor, the Make X screen will now default to a quantity of 1, to avoid accidentally making too many copies of one equipment piece. Grand Exchange. A plus limit button has been added to the quantity section of buy offers on the Grand Exchange. Each press of this button will add the 4-hour limit quantity to the current offer quantity. Wicked Hood. The cap on the teleport charges has been increased from 30 to 250. This can be achieved by using the Wicked Hood teleport tokens. The first option on the Wicked Hood can now be configured to either be Activate or Previous Teleport, which allows for teleportation via the action bar. The Previous Teleport option now states which altar you'll be taken to. The time that it takes to withdraw essence has been reduced from 1.8 seconds to 0.6 seconds. Withdrawing runes now prompts the player with an input box where they can use all their charges at once. All of these changes also apply to the ethereal outfit. Other. All skill capes, master skill capes, expert capes, and the max cape now have a right-click emote option when the cape is worn. Super prayer potions are now tradable. Unfortunately, this still doesn't make the blessed flask any better. It's 90% cheaper to use normal prayer potions if you don't need the inventory space, and in most PVM cases, spiritual prayer potions are way too strong to be replaced. I absolutely adore the idea of having significant untradeable benefits within specific skills, especially something you can invest a lot of time and money to unlock permanently. If they want people to be excited to obtain and use it, they need to give it a unique effect that could easily be balanced with a cooldown. I generally think the requirement, cost, and maintenance warrants it to be much better. The Skeletal Horror Teleport can now be used in a limited number of times, instead of just weekly. This saves up to 15 seconds on a hard clue step that requires you to talk to the odd old man, where you would normally use the invitation box to get to. Buff and debuff bar icons now have less of a delay in showing their tooltips. This is actually very clean, and they also made sure that you don't accidentally hover across them without wanting to see the tooltip. All ancient familiar pouches will now convert into 20 scrolls each, up from 10. Even though they've doubled the scrolls produced from pouches, I would expect the price of the pouches to actually go up, as using the familiars has become more viable and demand shoots up. This change also stacks with Amalot Hour, and you can produce up to 303k scrolls an hour and use 12.6k pouches an hour. The Grand Exchange buy limits for all archaeology materials have been increased from 1,000 to 5,000. The reason they've done this is to allow constant upkeep of doing binding contracts, since you can finish 4 hours worth of supply easily under 2 hours. The Grey to Dust armors will now drop the correct amount of their primary ingredient, relative to charge remaining when you are killed in the wilderness. Augmented Masterwork armor and Augmented Trim Masterwork armor will now drop the corresponding broken piece or armor upon death in the wilderness. So that's it for the patch notes. I think this was an overwhelmingly net positive update. Even though they made elite armors much more viable compared to their counterpart, I wish they would have also balanced according to Trim Masterwork armor and melee. That's it from me. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.